Our last speaker of the session is the aforementioned Jim Spann, who will be talking about the Science and Exploration Workshop, a forum to articulate science enabled by space exploration. And as a reminder, following Jim's presentation, we'll have a discussion period. We're going to invite all of the speakers from the session to come up to the stage to answer questions. Jim, take it away.
All right. Thank you. And so I really appreciate Ben really giving, talking or introducing the science white paper that was that is ready. Let me see, how does this work? Can I go to the next slide? How'd y'all get to do this work? Oh, wow. Okay. Can we go back like 5 slides? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so basically this is a workshop that has been evolving over the last 6 months or so in coordination with SMD and HEOMD to really garner the community input in terms of what could be available, what does the Deep Space Gateway enable in terms of science beyond just perhaps the traditional science that we've been talking about, really engaging in a much broader sense. And this would include life sciences, heliophysics, astrophysics, earth science. What sort of enabling capability does the Deep Space Gateway provide us? And the product of this workshop would be a document that could find its way into many roadmap decadal activities, the areas of investment in terms of technology for the agency, for NASA, and also ideas for people to propose against should the opportunity arise. So as Ben mentioned, the idea really was spawned from the science white paper provided from the Global Exploration Roadmap. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on this just because I want to really focus on the content of the workshop. But as Ben had pointed out, the science white paper covers several of these different areas, and many of those are some of those areas really just take advantage of the fact that there's likely to be an infrastructure in the near lunar environment. Some of the experiments or ideas really take advantage of the fact that there's going to be a human presence there, either to tend to the experiments or perhaps just to manage experiments or upgrade them. The white paper really didn't focus on any particular design, and our idea here again is that of the Deep Space Gateway, again our idea is that we would not also be tied into any particular design, but really focus on the science experiments that would be enabled. And so the idea that this workshop would really take the output of the science white paper and some of the broad work that has been looked at and really focus, well, I can't walk away from the mic, really focus on this and from a NASA perspective. What would be useful from a NASA perspective in the science in these various areas. And so a committee has been formed, and here's the name of some of the players. The proposal has kind of really been worked very closely with Marshall, Johnson, and Goddard in terms of trying to pull together all of the SMD activities. You see here a science advisory group is being pulled together right now. And the next steps that we have right now are twofold. One is to provide some overall bounds in terms of resource requirements in various areas of research that could be fed into the engineers, the Deep Space Gateway engineers. And then secondly, to really provide the ground-based work and the planning for the workshop, which is we're thinking of having it in early next year. So the first step of this is really to provide first-order numbers in terms of mass, power, volume, data, crew time, location on the Deep Space Gateway, preferred orbits if there are any of those sorts of things that an engineering architecture team would need to take into account as they are planning what the capabilities of the Deep Space Gateway are. And so a lot of this has to do with logistical stuff. Again, it's not really focused down on a particular instrument, but a class of instruments, how much volume you might need inside the module, or if you're on the outside, if you're on a pointing platform, what would that look like, how big is that, what sort of data rate, or if you're going to maybe have a free flyer and basically it would just be launched from the Deep Space Gateway, much like we saw EM-1 launching all these little CubeSats. Maybe it's just deployed from up there. The second part of the task then is really focused on the workshop. And the idea is that we would identify various areas of focus for the workshop where we would have splinter sessions and then plenary sessions where we would probably kick off the workshop with a plenary in terms of providing the context, divide up into splinter sessions, and then at the end wrap it up with a plenary session. We'd be looking for the various areas of research and the splinters. We'd have 3 or 4 chairs that would go and canvass the community, identify speakers, and bring those and have those invited. The workshop is going to be modeled or taking advantage of the lessons learned that, from 10 years ago in the Tempe, Arizona Lunar Science Workshop. How many of y'all attended that? Okay, so there's a smattering of that. There was a good report that was provided that kind of serves as a document which captured the essence of that workshop, and we're wanting to take the lessons learned and the aspects of that workshop which were very positive, and kind of model this workshop a little bit that way, where we would have a general call to the science community for abstracts, and then of those abstracts, a program would be set up and invitations would be sent out for those folks whose abstracts were selected. Here's a rough timeline of what we're talking about. We're kind of in the, so we're in this box. Right there, you just heard the announcement. And so you can see that at some point we're going to be requesting abstracts, get some abstract due. The organizing committee will pull it together. We'll identify a venue. There may be a STEM activity associated with this as well, since we're going to have just a fantastic gathering of experts. We also want to echo a lot of or implement a lot of the comments that were made here in terms of diversity, getting young people involved, early career. This is a great opportunity for those people who are actually going to end up having to implement all this stuff. So you might as well get involved with it right now, because you're going to be saddled with it later on. And so you should have something to say about what's going to happen. So that will all be taken into account as we pull the workshop together. The expected outcome, it will be documents that can find its way into influencing decadal surveys, not only for planetary, but astrophysics, heliophysics, and earth science and the NASA decadals. Also, in terms of science STMD in the technology area, if there are certain technologies that we identify that really need to be focused on. And HEOMD can use this input in terms of understanding better how the architecture of the Deep Space Gateway needs to look like. And finally, as an agency kind of figures out where they're going, what they're going to do when they grow up now in this new environment, this would be a great opportunity for them to kind of put their stamp on what we're going to be doing for the next 8 to 10 years. And so this workshop, I'd encourage you to kind of keep your ears open. If you're interested in participating, several of us are involved here. You can contact Ben, me, Paul Niles, others. Jack Burns, I think, is engaged. So let us know, and just look forward to this. Plan on attending February timeframe, location TBD. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.